Now I want to talk about the techniques and skills to elaborate this cocktail. And first, I want to go over this tools and equipment list. And I want to start uh, talking about the glass that we're gonna use for the cocktail. First, we all know that it exists a margarita glass, which in my belief 90% of those glasses are really thick and not very appealing for cocktails. But if you find a glass that resembles the illustration that it's on the left side, which is really petite and really beautiful, tall, it will be really nice to use it with this cocktail. However, you can use what is original to this cocktail, which is a coupe, or if you serving this cocktail in a fancy bar, you can use a cocktail glass, the B-shaped cocktail glass. And if you're incorporating ice, well, the best thing it's an old-fashioned glass. Now, for the shaker, you can find different options nowadays, but for professional bartending, I believe these three are the best. Just have in mind that if you're using a cobbler or a French shaker, you would need also a stirring glass. And I'm talking about all these tools in a general way, and this is because if you're attending this class and you're not a professional bartender or you're starting as a professional, just have in mind the options that you have. Now, okay, now for the strainer, we're gonna use two types of strainers today, but first we can use a Hawthorne or a Julep strainer, whatever it's okay, and also we're gonna use a fine mesh strainer. For the jiggers, you can find a lot of options also, but these three are what I think it's the most standard and known. Now for the bar spoon, you can use European, American, or Japanese. Pretty much all the bar spoons are for two main reasons: stirring cocktails and measuring quantities that are uh, less than a bar spoon. Now for the knife, you may or you could use a big knife. However, I think it's really uncomfortable and not very good at the time that you're serving drinks. So you might use a big knife while you're doing your preps back in the bar before you open. But as soon as you're giving service, the best knife that you can have uh, around you, it's a paring knife or a medium-sized knife. Now for the rimmer, if on your workplace you don't uh, rim a lot of cocktails, you can use a flat dish and just pouring the salt or the ingredient that you want to rim your glass with. But if you are constantly rimming glasses, well, you should get a three-tier rimmer. Now for the lemon or lime squeezer, you can, my best two options that I think it's the best. It's a citrus rimmer or what it's called a Mexican elbow. Mexican elbow it's just the standard lime squeezer. So these two options are what I think it's very common and you will have no problems finding them. Now for the grinder, because you might gonna need to grind salt, you can use a salt mill or you can use mortar and pestle, which is what I use. I think with the mortar, you can muddle the salt uh, as much as you want, you know. Now for the ice tongue and scoop, try to use metal, same as all your tools. Try to get them in stainless steel or another metal that repels oxidation, and also that it's more uh, hygienic. Okay, now before we start to making our cocktail, we need to do some preparations, and we need to get some tasks before we even pour the alcohol and everything. So to these tasks in the kitchen, they are called mise en place. Mise en place means that all the to get all the preps that needs to get done before starting to make the cocktail or assemble our cocktail. Okay, so one of them is get all the tools and ingredients ready, which by this I mean that you need to clean, wash, and sanitize your ingredients such as the limes or your shaker, your jigger, everything, all your tools ready to use. You need to check for flaws. You know, if you're using a Boston shaker, try to see that your uh, glass part it's not dented or it's not broken. Also, you need to make sure that you have enough ingredients or enough alcohol or everything to complete the cocktails that you're gonna make. If you're gonna make 5, 10, you need to have enough of the ingredients or enough of everything. Okay. Now, another task that we need to get done is setting the rimmer. In my case, I don't rim with a lime wedge. I use a flat dish and I pour some lime juice and also agave syrup, a few drops. You can use any other syrup, simple syrup if you like. I think that this amount, a small amount of sugar helps better. One, to get a more harder crust on the rim of the glass, and also will help with the to balance the salt flavor. And on the other side of the rimmer, or if you're using a flat dish, also try to pour a thin layer of salt. Okay. Now another task would be to elaborate the garnish, and I like a lime wedge. This is because it's useful. You know, some customers say that they want a little bit more lime juice on their cocktail so they can take it and squeeze the lime juice into the cocktail, or some other clients would like bitterness of the skin and they throw the lime on the cocktail. Or also, if your customer or your client or your guest doesn't want salt on the cocktail and forgot to tell you, or it's a shy customer and it's not gonna tell you, they just move around the wedge over the rim and they will clear out the salt. So it's very easy, it's very helpful, and it looks good. Another task is to get the lime juice squeezed, and I'm gonna squeeze it ahead of time. And this is even that I'm just doing a single cocktail. If you're on your bar and you're doing a lot of cocktails or using a lot of lime juice, you might want to squeeze your lime juice ahead of time. Even though nowadays a lot of bartenders will tell you that it's better to squeeze it uh, at the moment that you're making your cocktail. And the last one is chill the glass. So if you don't have a fridge that is specifically for chilling the glasses, The best way to shield your glass is to pour ice and water on it, and this needs to be done before you're making the cocktail. As you can see, I'm pouring this thin layer over a flat dish. So once that we're gonna uh, put the rim of the glass over it, it doesn't stick too much salt. And like I said before when I was explaining the ingredients, we're gonna be pouring powder like consistency salt. It's the best thing, you know, it's gonna dissolve real easy on the mouth, and it's not gonna leave that unpleasant flavor when you take too much salt. And on another dish, I'm just gonna make a mixture of lime juice and agave syrup with just a few drops, 2 or 3 drops of agave syrup that you incorporate. It's okay. Next, you're gonna have ready your garnish, and like I said, a lime wedge is, it might not be the most beautiful garnish because nowadays you can make a lot of beautiful garnishes for your cocktails, but I think, in my opinion, this is one of the most useful garnishes on a cocktail. And here I'm just pouring the lime juice that I'm gonna need, and I'm straining the pulp. So I don't want to do a double strain at the end. That's why I'm taking the pulp right now before incorporating to the cocktail. And last, well, we're gonna shield the glass with, you can use soda water or you can use simple tap water. Okay, and we're gonna go and see how to make this cocktail. We're gonna start, like I said, always keep your area clean, all your tools, everything clean. And I'm gonna start by pouring the tequila, ounce and a half of this tradicional blanco tequila. I already talked about that tequila earlier, which I think it's the best. It works really good with when it's cold. Doesn't lose its aromas. And now let's add 3/4 of an ounce of Cointreau. And I'm doing dynamic here. I'm putting separately the triple sec and the tequila. And with the triple sec, I'm gonna add the 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. And with the tequila, I'm gonna add the agave syrup. This is dynamic to help you understand how the ingredients play or it's starting to bond together. So you can taste the tequila with the agave syrup. If we incremented the agave syrup, it will become much more of a liqueur or a tequila cordial. It will be really good as an after dinner. And with the triple sec, we added the lime juice, and it could be somehow like a limoncello with some uh, orange notes. And this way, we can understand how the ingredients of our cocktail is starting to mix and making playing as a whole this way. So it's it's an interesting dynamic that you can do with other cocktails. try to incorporate an ingredient. That way you can understand how it's starting to switch the profile for the flavor and the aromas. And I'm gonna add the ice. Like I said, always ice that it's dry. Uh, that means it's not losing temperature, or it's really cold enough to maintain its structure, or being dry as a solid. And just before starting to shake our cocktail, and let's let's uh, let's rim the glass. Sorry. So as you can see, you rub the mixture just in the very rim of the glass, and I want you to take a look on the amount of salt that I'm putting. It's just a thin ribbon that we're adding. You don't need much salt. That's all you need. All you need. And I think you're not gonna taste all of that salt. Okay, when you shake your cocktail, everybody knows that you can hear that dilution happening, and you will know how much time it takes for your cocktail to be really cold enough. I'm gonna straight the cocktail, and as you can see, I'm not doing a double strain because I already took out the pulp of the lime juice, and this way I'm letting pass really small shapes of ice that broke when I was shaking, so that's also good. And additionally to this, I'm gonna add what I call a sheet of ice. It's just a sheet, really small amount of ice, just to keep the coldness of the drink. And I think all the sour cocktails or that uses citrics benefits from a little bit of ice. And with the garnish, it's not the most beautiful, but I think it's really useful. And this is a classic margarita, just like that. Well, now that we watch how to make this cocktail, I want to wrap up some thoughts that I have, like experiment with your ingredients, like I was doing in the video. Uh, Understand how all your ingredients works, how to they mix each other, and I'm assuming that you already understand the flavor profiles, the aromas that have each of them by their own. So you can try to mix the tequila and triple sec, understand how become a single flavor, a single aroma, mixing both of them. Try to understand how they play in the making of your margarita in this case. So, uh, any other thoughts would be like always be ready, always make sure that you have everything in your bar. With this pandemia, try to have everything clean, sanitized, and follow all the rules. Everything to make your bar more fast, efficient, and better quality. Okay.